Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to do a quick demonstration and explanation on smarter nitrogen. So fertiliser visibility is what we're going to talk about, I suppose, as well. You've seen the fertiliser in the shed. You can see it in the bags. You can see it in the box. But where we need it, we can't see it. Once we put it in the soil, very quickly it disappears visibly. It turns into molecules. And what we want to do is manage those so that we've got more nitrogen in the soil, and that way the crop can use it. So I'm going to flip between the fish tank as my demo and the board over here as well. And it's all about managing as many of these nitrogen loss pathways, they're invisible, to keep that nitrogen in the soil. So we've got smarter fertiliser, and that's the start. That's eNpower. We've got a mechanical implement is a second, and they're the stool zippers or similar. And then we've got something new for us, which is a granular humate. But each one of those, if it does the loss pathway, has a green tick. And importantly, we've got 4 loss pathways, but we end up with 9 ticks. So as many different mechanisms as possible, keeping that nitrogen in, as much of that nitrogen in the soil for as long as possible. These are the invisible bits. The nitrogen in the soil, you can't see, but if you did a soil test, you could find it. But these are the invisible bits that are taking nitrogen from the soil that the crop can't access. So if I head over to my fish tank, what I've got here is I've tried to represent visually nitrogen left in the soil. And that's about half tide as a rough number. And that's the sort of normal nitrogen use efficiency. So if we colour code, I've got the eNpower over there and here in purple. I've got the stool zippers in red and the trigger in black. Now I've got jars and they're all different sizes. You won't know what size they actually are until the season's finished. So these are just a general representation. But what we're trying to do is use manage each of those to get more visible N in here. So if I use this as a denitrification for eNpower, denitrification can be a very high loss. So that's why I've gone for a bigger bottle. If you appreciate how it works and then manage it, you're keeping more of that nitrogen in the soil for longer. Stool zippers in the red. It can do runoff management and volatilization management. If we manage those, that nitrogen's still there. So you can sort of get the picture of what I'm trying to do. Manage each of those to keep that N that we had as high as possible. And the only thing that's going to take it out, if we're managing those invisible loss pathways, is a crop. More nitrogen in the crop, better crops. So you can see what I'm going to do here is start throwing all these back in, make a bit of a mess. But we're actually managing each one. And as you can see, as we're managing each one, the water level's rising. The nitrogen's still there. So it's pretty hard to represent it and, probably not the most ideal, but in terms of doing something this afternoon, a fish tank full of glass jars, it's about as good as I could come up with. So, actually, now I've actually got an overflow. So we don't want that either, ironically. And that's what the 6 easy steps are for, is to get the right nitrogen rate. So that's the idea. If you want, I could go through and explain quickly some of those individual loss pathways and how they work. In your handouts that you're going to take away, there's a brochure. It'll go through it. But if you want me to quickly go through a couple of those, I'm more than happy to. We've had a long history of research and development as Incitec Pivot Limited. Ntech was our generation 1 enhanced efficiency fertiliser. eNpower is our generation 2. We're up to 5 and working on 6. So they're better, more cost effective, and just, smarter nitrogen. And it's our own patented product. And the other ones that are coming through will be as well. So we're investing quite a lot with universities in getting this research done. Generation 3, I've got a micro plot trial in the Burdekin. It's already been harvested, and the replicated strip trial will be harvested in the next 2 to 3 weeks. But yeah, if anyone wants an explanation of each individual loss pathway, happy to go through it. But at a high level, let's just manage all of them. Which one you end up with, where you can't see where it goes, depends on whether it's too dry or too wet. You know, after you put your fertiliser in the ground, you don't know what's really going to happen there. So manage everything, manage the whole lot so that whatever the weather conditions bring, that nitrogen's still there for the crop, hasn't gone to an invisible loss.